Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, May 31st, 2018, and you're here on Morning Light. Well, I'm glad you've joined me. I hope you're up and at it. It is a balmy morning with the great thunderstorms we had go through last night. Hopefully everything got a good watering at your house. I know it did mine. So it's still muggy out there, pretty hot, so take care of yourself today. Drink lots of water. Well, today I just want to talk to you a little bit more about not settling, not living a mediocre life, and to raise your standards. Today we're going to talk about raising your standards. Raising your standards are not raising your should or would. A standard is something that you choose to do in life for a degree of level of which you want to obtain. So if your standard is to always keep a clean house, that is your standard. You will always maintain a clean house. If your standard is to always be working out, keep yourself healthy, eating right, you will do that. You won't sit and say, I should do this. This is a level in which you take yourself to where you don't want to become less than. So this is something that is hard for people, but when you get the concept, many times it is a breaking point for you to go to the next level. So we are happiest when we're in progress, okay? But remember, a ceiling fan, a rocking chair is in motion, but they are not producing anything of any value. We're just in motion. When you want to produce something, you have to go about it. You will have to set goals, write down the vision, and fulfill that, and then work it out through a process of making things good or better for your own life. So I want to talk to you today just briefly about raising your standards and what it is sometimes we train our own minds to be. So I want you to think about this. Think about a circus elephant. Now, an elephant is never born or bred to stand at a circus tied to a pole and do nothing. But over time, when that little baby elephant or even an older one has been chained to a pole for months and years, it has the only opportunity it knows what to do is to stay there because it has been trained in its mind. This is what I'm supposed to do. The same way it can be set free in the wild and it knows what it's supposed to do only by what God's nature has given it. Man can turn our mind. We are man. We can turn ourselves into something we're not supposed to be. So it's a great picture with the elephant that says that, we're supposed to be something else, but I'm going to train you for less than. And that can come from a world standard. That can come from your own self-talk. That can be from when your childhood, maybe your parents told you you were no good, you weren't going to amount to anything. So that's exactly what you fulfilled. You're like, well, I'm never going to amount to anything, so I'm not going to do anything. So what is it that maybe you have trained your mind, that maybe you have listened to the lies and settled in for and decided that this is all that I can be, which is absolutely not true. We know the circus elephant is not supposed to sit on a chained pole for all of its life, just being a spectacle for spectators. Well, our lives are the same. So many times we sit on the sideline. We get chained to social media. We get chained into a way of life, maybe a poor way of life, and we settle for something less. Well, today I want to just talk to you about a few things on how you can get out of that rut, how you can stop from settling and move on to the greater part of life that God has called you to. Not a lot of scripture today, just a lot of encouragement. So here we go. Number one, you're going to have to think about the area of your life that you most want to change. So write that down, whether that be your weight, whether that be your house, whether that be your finances, your marriage, your kids. Pick it. One thing. Don't make it huge. Don't try to do everything at once. You kind of do this through process. Pick the one thing you want to do and take action upon it. So what's the one area of your life you're tired of being defeated in? I mean, this is the one. I have areas in my life that I'm just like, I cannot get over this hump. I can't get over it. Pick that area and start working through it. The first thing you're going to do is select the area of your life that you want to improve and describe what that area is like for you currently. So you're going to have to do a little bit of homework. Is it miserable? Is it tolerable? Is it something that you think, well, I can deal with it, but it's not really something I want to do? And there again is where we settle in, and then 10 years down the road, we hate our own life because we chose something that really we weren't supposed to settle for. So you're going to have to write in that area what you currently feel like, and then be specific and write what the truth is. Don't skip that. So like, let's say you're 15.7 pounds overweight. Write that down, what you're going to do. Maybe it's your marriage is in the tank. Your finances need work on. Write it down and say, how do you feel about that? Number 2, you're going to have to write down some rituals or steps that have shaped your current condition in this area. So you're going to have to be honest with yourself. This is a really working lesson today. So if you want to see change, you're going to have to change yourself. This won't be anything I can do for you or your spouse or your best friend. You're going to have to do this one for yourself. Write down the steps that have shaped you to where you are. What decisions did you make? Where did you make a wrong turn? It's okay to write that stuff down. You know what? Here's the thing. Knowledge is power. And a lot of times, there's a great verse in the Bible that says, once something is brought to the light, the darkness is dispelled. And so many times, I think the enemy hides us in our own darkness, and he isolates us and leaves us reeling for wanting a better life, but yet we don't get out there. We don't think about it. We don't talk about it. We think about it all the time, but we don't do anything about it. You may talk about it, but you don't get anywhere. You're on that wheel where you never make any progress. Remember, the ceiling fan is just spinning. It is not producing other than it's spinning the wind around, but it's not going anywhere. Okay, let's move on. So number 3, what do you want? Write the vision. In Habakkuk 2, we talked about this, I think when I first started doing Morning Light, about writing down the vision that you want for your life. What do you want your life to look like? That doesn't matter how long you have. If you're 20 years old or you're 80 years old. So many times we settle with, well, I'm in the last part of my life, or, half my life is over, or my kids are gone, or, there are people that change their career at 50 and 60 years old. If you're still breathing and woke up this morning with air in your lungs, God has a purpose for you, no matter what you're in. Somebody needs to hear that. God has a purpose for you, a great purpose for you today on what you're supposed to be doing, no matter how bad life may seem. So what do you want? What is the vision? Write the vision. There's a verse in Proverbs that says the people will die without the lack of a vision. If we don't have the plan in front of us, it will never happen. So my sunlight's coming right in the skylight. I hope you guys can see this okay. And number 4, what will you do to get you? What will it take to get you there? Be specific. If you don't know, ask people around you. Find a good mentor. I have a friend that I just marvel at the way her life is. And I just feel better because I'm around her. She's very accomplished. I just learn and watch what she does, and I take from that. Find somebody that is doing life right, that's succeeding, that is making things happen, and follow them. Watch. Don't compare yourself, and don't try to be them, but find out what they're doing that is good in their life, and learn from them. I mean, that's how we learn from the greats, is to follow what they're doing. And number 5, be very specific. Willpower does not last. For some of you, that might be the first time you've ever heard that. Willpower will eventually give out. But you can start small, and then you will gain momentum. Here's a great quote. Pain of discipline equals ounces. The pain of regret will equal tons. How many of us have lived a life of regret, and we wish we could take some things back? Well, we can't turn back time, and time is gone for us, but we can change our future. And if you don't like the direction in which you're headed or where you have been, it's up to you to do something about it. So today's challenge is to just start small. Start small and pick the one area of your life that you feel most defeated. That's the only thing I want you to do. Think about it, write it down, and then write down 5 steps that you need to do to get yourself out of that. You may have to tweak those steps, but just start today somewhere, and then message me along the way and let me know how you're doing. If you have to ask the question, why do you fail? Why didn't I succeed? Go after those questions. Why doesn't something work? Thomas Edison, I think it took 1,000 times to get the light bulb right? What if he would have stopped at 999 times? I mean, there are trial and error is a good thing for us. That's how we learn. Failure is not a bad thing. That's just how we move on to the next thing. So don't beat yourself up when you fail. If let's say you want to lose weight and you start working out and you just find this certain workout is super hard for you and it really makes your body like super painful, or you're hurt all the time, you may have to try, swimming instead of running, or you may have to try yoga instead of weightlifting. I mean, find out what works for you, and little steps of succession is where you will succeed. But if you go out and say, hey, I'm going to just go run a half marathon and get into shape, more than likely in a week, if not less, you're going to be like, forget this. I'm not running. I can't do it. You have to take little steps, and you have to find out what works for you and what doesn't. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you probably won't work for me. But until you try and figure it out for yourself, God gives us a very, very smart mind, an imaginatory mind. God is always creating something new. I mean, just look around in creation. God is a God of imagination. Look at the flowers and the animals. If you ever watch those National Geographic TV shows, I mean, I just marvel at what God's creation is like and what his imaginatory mind is. Ask God to give you that kind of mind. God, give me what I need to succeed. He may give you a great plan that nobody knows about yet. So don't be afraid to ask that in your time of prayer. So many times we keep it so religious and we pray, thank you and we're sorry and all that, but we are allowed to ask God for newness of mind, newness of ideas, newness of life. God, maybe I've blown it for 50 years. Could you let the second half of my life be greater than the first? Whatever it is, would you be willing to do yourself a favor? Find out what the number one thing is that defeats you. Write it down, write how you got there. Was it a poor choice? Was it just a matter of circumstances? Was it somebody else put you there? Acknowledge it, say, okay, it is what it is, and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is the first day of the rest of my life. Every morning we get to wake up and say that, and God says, my mercies are new every morning for you. So it doesn't mean that it wants us to stay in the old. He wants us to get up and be about his work. He wants us not to settle. He wants us creating and rejuvenating and renewing our minds every day and keeping in step. He doesn't want us in that rocking chair, just rocking, doing nothing, not accomplishing anything. He wants us working for him. Remember yesterday we talked about we are called, we are his chosen. So that is you. You have a high calling on your life. If that's just being at home and taking care of your family, if that's running a company, if it's farming, whatever it is, God has called you to do it. Do it well. Remember yesterday we talked about do it wholeheartedly. Whatever you put your hand to, do it with your whole heart as unto the Lord and not to man. So whoever may make fun of you or chide at you or have a remark, don't think about them. Don't worry about them. Yeah, it kind of stings a little bit in the heart when somebody discounts your efforts, but you know what? Don't do it for them. I'm going to teach on the audience of one. It was one of my best radio shows ever. I had lots and lots of people comment, and I think I want to reteach again on it just because when we live for the audience of one, our life is so amazing and nothing else really matters. We get out there living for God and God alone. So, and you'll just take care of all kinds of people and your life will be so full of joy and happiness that God will just blow you out of the water when it comes to just living for one, living for him. So I want to encourage somebody today who has settled. Remember, raise your standards. You have to raise your standards. That's a higher level of living. It's not an untouchable level of living, but you just got to raise your standards. Willpower will give out, and acknowledge where you're being defeated. Acknowledge how you got there, and then set a plan in motion, write out the vision, and put that in motion of what one thing can you do today to start having this life that God has ordained for you, that he went to the cross and died for you to have. What is it that you need to do to have the life that he created you to be? So I want to encourage you today, don't be like that elephant tied up to the chain and the pole, that you live a life that was not intended for you. That's one of the saddest things I think that we can do as human beings, is live the life that God never intended. So I hope somebody's encouraged today and this week by just not settling. Don't be lazy. Don't be sloppy. We're going to finish out the week with a set of steps that I'm working on a book with that I hope, it's called The Life That You Want. I hope to get this in motion pretty soon. This is something I myself have been lazy with, and God has said, you know what, I want this book done this year. So I am hopeful to get that out, but we're going to start talking about that tomorrow and then maybe peer into next week. So hope you all have a great Thursday. Stay cool down out there. Drink a lot of water today. Take good care of yourself and love up on each other, and have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you bright and early tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.